Hello, it's Jacoby, and this video is for all of you last-minute Halloween costume makers out there. You know who you are. I always end up making my Halloween costumes at the last minute between all of the conventions, the steampunk events, missions. I've done a few fashion shows this year, and then the actual event where it's socially acceptable for everyone to run around wearing a costume comes along, and I'm never ready. So I've gotten pretty good at whipping something together at the last minute, and I am going to share all of my knowledge with you. Everything you're going to need for this video should be fairly cheap and easy to find, especially because it's so close to Halloween, and according to retailers, that means it's Christmas. So all the Halloween stuff is going to be on sale. This video is going to be a tutorial on how to make a sort of spooky, like ghost bride crown. So let's get started. For this project, you're going to need a headband, a hot glue gun, hot glue sticks, wire, wire cutters, some nice gauzy fabric for the veil, and beads of your choosing. Make sure the wire that you use is thick enough that it holds its shape when you bend it, but that the holes of your beads are big enough to fit over your wire. To add a touch of morbidity, I'm using these skeleton hands that I got for $3 at Michael's. They come in a package of 12. If you aren't able to find these exact hands, I'll show you a way that you can decorate your crown using a miniature skeleton that you should be able to find anywhere. The first thing you'll want to do is measure your wire. Now I want mine to go just over the top of my hand. So for me, that ended up being about 13 inches of wire. I cut it and formed an arc that I'm going to attach to the headband with my skeleton hand in the middle. For the centerpiece, I found a black heart bead. I like that it has a hole at the bottom and at the top, which means that I can wire something through the middle of it. And I think I'm going to use a large pearl or something with a bit of visual interest. To attach your bead, just cut a small piece of wire and bend the end, either using your fingers or, if you have them, a pair of jewelry pliers. If you can get wire cutters and pliers in a set, you should do that because the pliers will definitely come in handy. Just run the wire through the bead, and I'm placing a very large frosty bead in the center to tie it in with the rest of the design of my crown. And I'm now going to find the center of my wire and wrap it around until it's secure, wrapping it around the wire and then wrapping it around itself. Once you've done that, you can just cut the end, and it doesn't matter if there's an edge sticking out because you're going to cover all of that with hot glue. If you can't find a bead exactly like mine, find something that has a hole through the top so that it can dangle in the center. Just run the wire through the hole and attach it the same way. Next, you'll want to add beads to the arch of the crown. I'm starting off with a large pearl, adding one of my frosty beads, and then another large pearl on the other side. And it really doesn't matter what order you put your beads in, as long as you do the same thing on both sides of your centerpiece. Now that I have a cluster of interesting looking beads in the center, I'm adding pearls from largest to smallest. It doesn't matter how many you put on, just make sure you leave a few inches of wire to wrap around your headband. Secure the beads in place by flipping the wire upside down, making sure everything's in place, and start just a half an inch above the bead, working your way down. That way, when you pull your hot glue gun away, it's not going to pull the bead up with it. Do the same thing on the other side, and once everything is dry, you should be able to flip it right side up and the beads stay in place. To make sure everything is centered, make a mark at the very top of your headband, and that is where the center bead is going to hover. I would suggest putting the wires exactly 1 inch away from that center mark on either side. To make sure that everything is going to work out, you might want to place your skeleton hand or whatever you've decided to put in the center before you glue anything down. Once you have it where you like it, push down and just make a little indent in the wire. That way you'll put it back exactly the way you want it. When you're sure of your placement, go ahead and wire that centerpiece on by wrapping it around the headband and then around itself. Make sure to twist it to one side of the headband. That's going to be the back of your crown. And then do the exact same thing on the other side. Once your wire is in place, cover every bit of the wire with hot glue. I'm using silver glitter hot glue because it matches my crown and I don't have to paint. If you only have regular hot glue though, you'll want to paint it to make it look more interesting. Next, I'm cutting 2 more pieces of wire the same length as the middle piece, which was 13 inches. Once you're sure your 2 pieces are the same length, wrap one of them right next to the wire that's already on the headband. Make sure to hold it down with your finger, and when you wrap the other wire on the other side, hold it down exactly in the same place. That way they stay the same length. Just wrap it around your headband and wrap it around the wire that's already there to make sure it's nice and secure. When you're done, you should have an arch with 2 antennas sticking out from either side. To decorate the outsides of my crown, I'm starting off with a few small pearls, followed by some mediums, a large frosty bead, then medium and small pearls again. That way, the outside of my crown looks like a simplified version of the centerpiece, but without that large black heart bead. The exact design doesn't really matter, as long as you do the same thing to both wires on either side of that centerpiece. I've picked a spot 3 inches down from the other end of the wire, and making sure that my beads don't fall off, I am wiring the other end to the headband, leaving just enough to go around the headband and wrap around itself a couple of times. Once I think I like the height, I'm going to glue it down, but now's the time to make adjustments. If you want the outside piece to be just a little bit lower, you can kind of scrunch it down. Once everything's in place, turn your crown upside down, scoot the beads to where you want them, and glue them in place the same way you did the centerpiece, starting from the top and working your way down. Now that your crown's looking nice and pretty, it's time to add something twisted. So after realizing that all of the skeleton hands in my package were right hands, I changed the design a bit. I was going to have it facing front and wrap a little wedding ring around the ring finger, but since it wasn't a left hand, I decided to flip my hand and have it cupping the heart bead from behind. These are just little design changes that you'll make differently depending on what you use. No matter what you use though, make sure to secure it with lots of hot glue. Okay, so this is what my crown looks like right now. It's kind of a high profile crown. I don't know, like something like a Russian monarch would wear. I mean, you know, on Halloween, if she was going as a corpse bride or something. But yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that it sits right on my head. Depending on how you're doing your hair, it may sit farther back or farther forward. Now is the time to add your veil. This is just a piece of remnant fabric that I got on sale at Joann's. So unfortunately it's cut kind of thin, but I had to buy it because it just had this really cool web pattern on it. You may want to get a full yard if you're going for like a long dramatic veil, or you may want to get, you know, half a yard if you just want something a little bit shorter. But this is probably like, I don't know, like a fourth of a yard that nobody wanted, so I'm just going to use it because it was cheap. I am kind of figuring out how long it's going to be. Well, I may just cut off a piece like that and kind of scrunch it a little bit. Or if we were getting fancy, I might have to cut mine long ways and then sew it together, like put a seam down the middle. That way I can have like a nice long veil. Or if we don't care that much, honestly, overlapping it, and like nobody will know that it's not sewn together. This is low maintenance DIY. So if you don't sew it, you have a nice little window so you can flip it dramatically if you like. Just do the best you can with what you have. But yeah, freaky. I like it. I decided to cut two pieces and cut the ends at an angle. You can fold up a post-it note or a piece of paper to protect your fingers, and once you've secured the center, I would work my way out to the edge, making sure that I kind of zhuzh and smush my fabric to the glue the same way on both sides. Once it's dry, just trim the excess from the back. So I know that at this point some of you are probably saying, hold on a second, stop. What if I don't have these hands? What if I went to every craft store, this one didn't have the hands, that one didn't have the hands, what am I gonna do? So I did want to show you an alternate thing that you can do with this tiny skeleton. In the flower section of Michael's, they're selling these black bouquets that have these little hands sticking out of them. They're black and silver. Might want to check that out because it would be a good thing to use for your bouquet. I also have this skeleton, which I'm not sure where it came from. I think I already had it. But these little skeletons I've been seeing around as well. Hopefully you will find a skeleton that's made of soft plastic and will come apart pretty easily. See, I can even just cut him with like a regular pair of scissors. And I'm just taking his little arms and legs off. I'm feeling really sadistic right now. God, I'm so sorry. Sorry. It's hard when you're laughing. Yay! I did it. Okay. So I've got a torso, skull, two legs, and the arm go. Oh, here it is. Okay. And two little arms. Now, let's say that you weren't able to find your hands, and so this hand is not there. You could glue this little skull right to the center of your crown. Let's be really bizarre. Since he has deep eye sockets, I'm going to drop two little pearls right into his little skeleton eyes. Now, these are the things that just add the perfect finishing touches onto any project. You can actually turn the pearls forward so that the hole that you would bead through sticks out that way and looks like the pupils of the eyes. For the arms, find a cool place to stick them, you know, like right there. You could stick one like right there, just glue it at the bottom and then glue it like it's holding on to, or even from behind like I did this thing, so it looks like it's holding the little jewel in place. You can do one of the legs, if they're bendable, you know, you can have it coming down off the sides so that it looks like the feet are there, or you could just leave the whole skeleton intact, depending on the size of it. You know, put the torso like that. The little skull with the pearl eyes would be up here. Sorry about the focus on this thing, but this is just to give you an idea what you could do, and you could make him, you know, like he's doing a straddle on the top of your headpiece. So there's a ton of options. And now you can just get really creative with whatever you're working with. Since I have so many hands, I'm using two more of those to finish off the crown, and I just cut out a few pieces of my web fabric to add some more detail to the back side of it. I'm not even cleaning off the trails of hot glue left behind because it all just looks like more web. For more texture and detail, dollop on some hot glue and smush some pearls into it. This not only helps to hide your wire, but it adds a little bit of beauty in between all of the grisly bits. For even more detail, I'm brushing on some pearly gray paint to my skeleton hands. This takes the fleshy color out of them and ties them in with the rest of the crown just a bit more. Finally, I dolloped some hot glue into the palm of each skeleton hand and fixed one large pearl with tiny pearls all around. Of course, the most important part of the bridal ensemble is the dress. Thrift stores are the perfect place to find cheap wedding dresses that you can distress to your heart's content. I just took the lining of a wedding dress that I actually tore apart for another costume to show you how quick and easy it is to transform it into your bridal gown. For the bouquet, Michaels has great black thorns and black flowers right around Halloween time, or you can go the Morticia Addams route and pop the flowers off to tie together the broken stems. I hope you found this video helpful and easy to follow. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments section. And if you like what you see and want to see more, thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you make a crown of your own, please send me pictures. I'd love to see them. Thank you. Bye.